Hello, Healthcare Genetics students. This video will provide you with an overview of Clemson Library's resources and services that you can use to start searching for scientific research literature. We won't have time to cover everything available to you, but if you have any questions, please feel free to contact the Health Sciences librarian. To begin, we will start on the library's homepage, which is your main access point to all library resources. A few things to highlight. You can always get in touch with us via the library chat, which is found in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. You can ask a question from anywhere in the world as long as a librarian is online. You can search the library's catalog using the main Find It box. This search only shows you a small portion of what's available through the library, and mostly searches our print materials, along with some of the articles in our research databases. You can also use this box to search Google Scholar, and it will let you know if Clemson has access to the results that you find. You can also use our interlibrary loan service to request articles that we don't have access to. You can access your ILL account under the Find and Borrow section at the top. This is where you can log in to view existing requests or to make a new one. For more information on ILL, check out our ILL video on our YouTube page. One of the most useful resources for you to use other than the library's homepage is the Healthcare Genetics Ph.D. Library Guide. You can access the guide from the library's homepage by navigating to the drop-down menu under Course Guides. Choose the option for PhD in Healthcare Genetics, and it will take you straight to the library's page for that program. The Healthcare Genetics Library Guide has all of the resources that you will need to start searching for literature. From the homepage, you will see navigable boxes that help you find articles, tips on creating a search strategy, managing citations, and more. Two pages that I recommend you take some time exploring are the Managing Citations and Help tabs. The Managing Citations section provides you with information on how to set up a RefWorks account, which is a citation management software you can use to organize research articles. The Help tab provides you with resources on how to properly cite and format your references for AMA, APA, and other citation styles. It also provides you with information about off-campus resources, including the Clemson VPN. Now that we know where to access library resources, we're ready to start practicing how to search for scientific literature. To begin, I will navigate to the Creating Search Strategies page by clicking on that box. Here you can find tips on how to create an effective search strategy, learn more about PubMed search tools, and resources on various review types that might impact the kinds of searches you want to do. This page also has a template for how you can organize your search, which I will use for this video. The search template provides you with a table that you can use to start brainstorming keywords from your research question. It also includes a table for you to record your search strategy for each database. Treat your strategy as a piece of important data that you need to record. This will help you keep track of where you searched and will also allow you to retrace your steps if you need to. The keyword table also works well with PICO questions. PICO refers to patient or population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. This mnemonic is used to break down the discrete components of a clinical question and can be used to help you identify keywords that address every aspect of your research question. My research question today is, how are genetic counselors or genetic counseling services utilizing artificial intelligence or chatbots to conduct patient education with patients who have cancer or who have a family history of cancer? I'm going to copy that question at the top of my search document and highlight the important concepts of my question. The main ideas that I'm interested in are genetic counselors or counseling, chatbots or artificial intelligence, and cancer. I could add a row for patient education if I wanted to, but for now, I want to get a sense of the existing literature out there. If I need to, I can add patient education as a core concept later. I can now add these concepts to my search terms table, which is divided into 3 columns, one for my concept, one for my keywords, and then another one for subject headings. Each row will represent a different concept. So here I have rows for cancer, chatbot, and genetic counseling. I also have included a row for any filters that I use, and I've indicated that I want to look at literature published in the past 10 years. Now that I have my main concepts identified, the next step is to find as many relevant keywords about my topic as possible. I have a few terms to get started with, but there are some resources that I can use to make sure I'm not missing any relevant terms. The first thing I can do is conduct a general search in PubMed. PubMed is a great resource to start exploring the literature on your topic, or if you want to make sure that you're searching for all recent relevant literature. However, not everything in PubMed is peer-reviewed, and you will retrieve a large number of results than other databases, such as Medline or CINAHL. Keep this in mind when you are allocating your time to search and establishing the criteria for the types of articles that you want to find. To access PubMed, it's best to use the PubMed with Clemson links that is on the HCG library guide under the Find Articles page. This link is connected to Clemson libraries and will automatically search the library's catalog to see if we have access to those articles. Starting on PubMed's homepage, I will search for chatbot in the main search box and look through the first few pages of results to see if I can find any other words used to describe that concept. Looking at my results, I can see that I might want to also search for mobile apps or machine learning. I also might want to look for other keywords related to how the chatbot is being used, such as tool or delivered. I can then add my new terms next to its associated concept in my table using the Boolean operator OR. Boolean operators are those connecting words that we incorporate into our strategy to ensure that research databases are searching for all of our concepts. We use the Boolean operator OR to combine like terms so that we expand the number of articles that could be discussing our concept using a related term than those that we identified originally. We then use the Boolean operator AND to narrow in on research articles that discuss both of our concepts. We can also use the Boolean operator NOT to exclude certain keywords from our results. For right now, just use AND and OR and stay away from NOT. We do this so that we're not unintentionally leaving out relevant articles. I could also add specific phrases to my keywords, such as genetic counseling. I can put this phrase in quotation marks so that the database will search explicitly for that phrase. However, in PubMed, I recommend not putting phrases in quotation marks for now because it turns off what is called automatic term mapping. I'll explore this in a few moments. I could also truncate my terms, meaning that I want to find as many variations of my terms as possible. For example, I want to search for the terms genetic counseling and genetic counselor. I could truncate the word counseling and counselor by adding an asterisk at the end of counsel because that is the root of both words. That way, the database would find any variation of counsel, including counseling and counselor. I can then repeat this whole process to find keywords for the rest of my concepts. In addition to a general PubMed search, I can also use the MESH database to see if there is a medical subject heading or MESH term associated with my concept. MESH terms are a type of subject heading that are specific to health sciences and are created by the National Library of Medicine. They are used to describe and index literature included in PubMed and Medline. You do not have to include MESH terms in your strategy, but they are often included in published reviews with complex searches. The more comfortable you are with MESH, the easier it will be later on to incorporate them in future searches. I'm going to see if there is a MESH term for chatbot by navigating to the PubMed homepage. I will click on the mesh database under Explore and begin searching. It doesn't look like there is a mesh term for chatbot, but that doesn't mean there might not be another relevant term. Let's search for mobile app. And there is a mesh term, mobile application. Let's take a closer look. The page that is retrieved from my search is referred to as a mesh record, and it includes very useful information. Here you can find a brief definition of the term, the year it was introduced, subheadings, and a list of entry terms. In general, I don't use the subheadings unless I'm getting a lot of results. However, I will use one subheading in my search for neoplasms, since cancer is such a broad topic. Instead, I will use neoplasms/genetics to narrow in on a subset of results. Moving down into the record, we find an entry terms list. This list is a great place to locate relevant synonyms to include in your search strategy. It's also a great place to see if there are any additional spellings of your terms or related terms that you hadn't considered. You don't need to include all of these terms, just those that are the most relevant, such as mobile application or mobile app. When we add the mobile application mesh term to our strategy, we will automatically be searching for the associated keywords in this list. However, even though mesh terms search all of these keywords for us, we still want to include those terms in our strategy because not everything in PubMed has a mesh term assigned to it. Mesh can be tricky to understand, and the National Library of Medicine provides a comprehensive overview of mesh in their video tutorials, which are linked to on the HCG Library Guide. The easiest way to add your mesh term to your table is to click on Add to Search Builder on the right-hand side of the screen, and then copy the text to add to the table. This ensures that the mesh term is properly formatted with quotations and the mesh field tag. You'll also want to be sure to add that same term as a keyword without the mesh field tag in your keyword entry terms column. A field tag is simply a bracket that is added to the end of a search term that lets the database know how to interpret that term. There are many types of field codes or tags that you can use, but the most common are the mesh, title abstract, and the text word field tags. For more information on field tags, see the field tags video on the HCG Library Guide in the Find Articles tab. There are a few other tools that I can use to find keywords specifically for PubMed, including PubMed Reminer and Yale Mesh Analyzer. These tools can be found on the Healthcare Genetics LibGuide. The first tool, PubMed Reminer, allows you to search using your PubMed strategy and then generates a table of retrieved results that highlights information about those results, such as keyword frequency, mesh terms, and place of publication. This tool can be overwhelming to use, but may be helpful if you have a more complicated search strategy. I also frequently use the Yale Mesh Analyzer to compare articles that I find that are relevant and see if there's any difference in how they're indexed in PubMed. I can search for up to 20 PubMed IDs, and the analyzer will generate a table that compares the mesh terms, author keywords, and other relevant information of the included articles. I use this tool to see if I'm unintentionally leaving out a keyword or if there's any overlap in the keywords that I use. This tool is especially helpful if you have already identified a few seed papers or relevant articles that act as examples of what you're trying to find. You can then use that paper to test your strategy to see if it is retrieved when you search a database. Now that I've filled out my table with keywords and subject headings, I am ready to construct my search strategies for the databases I will use. It is good practice to translate your search for each database because each has its own set of quirks. Because we started in PubMed, let's create our PubMed strategy first. I can combine my keywords with my mesh terms using the Boolean operator OR for each of my concepts. I like to put each string of terms on its own line so I can search line by line in PubMed. But I can also turn this into one long strategy by combining each set of terms using the Boolean operator AND. Once each string is complete, I can go back to PubMed to the Advanced Search Builder, where I can enter each of my strings individually. I will copy and paste my first set of terms into the bottom search box. Instead of clicking Search, I will change it to Add to History. This adds my new search to my search history below. The advantage of adding your terms using the Advanced Search Builder is that you can individually check to see how PubMed interprets your search and catch any terms that should not be included. PubMed automatically translates your keywords to related concepts, something called automatic term mapping, which can save you a lot of time. Using quotation marks when searching phrases will turn off the mapping feature, and we could potentially not see relevant results, so be careful. However, sometimes PubMed misinterprets your search, and you will need to check the translation section to see if any unrelated concepts are coming up. For example, I included the term assisted in my search, and PubMed automatically mapped to dental assistant. To prevent that from happening in future searches, I could add the field tag for text word or TW to turn off the mapping. But I only do this when I'm getting too many irrelevant results, or if I know I want to look for a very specific word. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it alone. Once all of my strings are entered into the Advanced Search Builder and properly formatted, I can then combine my set of terms. I will add my first grouping of terms to the search box and then add the rest of the groupings using the Boolean operator AND. Once they are added, I will click Add to History so that I save my final search. I like to do this in the Advanced Search Builder itself by clicking on those three dots and then choosing my Boolean operator. I do this so that I know that all of my combinations are correctly formatted, and I just like to let the database do the work for me. To see my results, I can click on the total number and add any filters necessary. I like to add my filters in at the end so that I make sure that the strategy is correct before I start restricting my results. It's also super satisfying to see that number go down once I add the filters. To make sure my search is retrieving relevant results, I usually look through the first 3 pages or so of articles. At this point, I'm just scanning the title and the little bit of abstract content that is shown to see if PubMed has highlighted any keywords. It's also a great idea to look for a relevant seed paper during this step. If I'm not seeing many relevant results, I know that I need to go back to my strategy and make adjustments. For example, I'm not seeing many relevant results with chatbot in the title or abstract. To fix this, I'm going to go back to my search and add the title and abstract field code to my chatbot terms. This means that I will only be searching for those terms in the title or abstract of an article. The easiest way to add the title and abstract field tag is to use that field in the PubMed search box. This will add the field tag for you, and then you can copy and paste it into your original strategy. However, PubMed only allows you to use one code per term, so my mesh terms will continue to have the mesh field tag, while my other keywords now have that title and abstract field tag. Let's now rerun the search now that those tags are added. Looking back through my first few pages of results, it looks like I'm looking at more relevant articles. If you keep coming up short and not finding many relevant results, or if you're overwhelmed by the number of results you're getting, this is a great time to email the librarian for assistance. Now that I'm looking at a smaller set of articles, I can take a closer look at the abstract page. Here I can find and read the full details of the article, including the mesh terms that it was indexed with, associated figures, and similar articles. I also can use the links under full text links to read the article's full text. I recommend clicking on the Find It button, which will query the Clemson Library's catalog to see if we have access to the article. This will take me to the Clemson Library's page and links to where I can download the article for myself. The Clemson Library's page also provides me with a permalink that I can always use to refer back to this article. This is the link I would want to save because it will never expire. I could also save this article to my RefWorks account, which is a free for you resource that allows you to save all of your articles in one place. Now that I'm happy with my PubMed strategy, I can explore a few other databases. First though, I want to make sure that I'm keeping good records of what I have searched so far. You can use the database table to help you do this. This table has a column for the database searched, the complete search strategy, and then the date that I searched. This helps me keep track of any changes that I need to make to my search, if I need to run an update to the search, and information on any filters that I used. I then fill out the table with any other strategies that I create. It is good practice to search multiple databases, and I recommend that you search in at least 3 places. A list of other relevant databases can be found on the HCG library page. Of those, I recommend searching CINAHL and Web of Science in addition to PubMed or Medline. Every database has slightly different coverage and interfaces, and a librarian is always available to help you decide which database to search in and how to tailor your strategy for each database. Google Scholar is another place to search for literature. However, it does not support complex search strategies in the same way that our research databases do. It is also hard to create reproducible strategies, meaning that you may search on one day and find articles that are not retrieved if you search another day. That being said, you can still search Google Scholar in addition to another research database. If you do end up searching Google Scholar, I recommend searching it using incognito mode so that your search is not influenced by your past search behavior. Let's use Medline as an example of how to translate our search strategies. Medline is a database that includes articles that are indexed in PubMed, but only from those journals that the National Library of Medicine has deemed essential to the library. Good news is that all of these articles are peer-reviewed. Medline is a great place to start searching if you're running low on time and want to find relevant articles quickly. However, it won't show you the most recent literature, and you won't be looking at the full scope of what's out there. That's why I like to start with PubMed, because I can find relevant keywords easily. Clemson Libraries provides you with 2 different ways to access Medline. You can use either EBSCO Medline or Ovid Medline. Of these, I recommend using EBSCO Medline because it has a very simple and easy to use interface. So let's get started translating. Translating your strategy to another database is similar to how you created your PubMed strategy. First, translate your subject headings, in this case mesh terms, by going to the subject heading thesaurus. Medline and CINAHL use controlled vocabularies, and Medline utilizes mesh terms. CINAHL, however, uses their own version of subject headings called CINAHL subject headings. When creating or translating your search, be sure to check the subject heading thesaurus like you would the mesh database. Some databases use their own unique subject headings that are not included in mesh, and vice versa. For Medline, this is the mesh 2022 link in the top left-hand corner. You can then search each of your mesh terms similar to how you searched in PubMed. Because Medline is indexed in PubMed, all of our mesh terms should be included here. So let's search for mobile application. Once we've identified the correct mesh heading, we can add the heading to our search using the database feature. This will help us ensure that our terms are properly formatted. You can see that Medline adds MH to the beginning of terms in quotations to denote mesh terms. You can either repeat this search for all of your mesh terms to add the correct formatting, or you can simply alter the formatting in your search document. This is the analog way to translate your search strategy, and it can be time-consuming. To save us time, we can use a tool called Polyglot that can translate our search strategies for us. This tool is linked on the HCG library website, and it allows you to translate your PubMed or Ovid Medline search strategy to databases like CINAHL, Web of Science, and more. I will take my PubMed strategy and translate it to a CINAHL strategy. I begin by inserting my PubMed strategy at the top search box, and then the tool automatically populates my translated strategies. I can then copy and paste the strategy I want into the proper database. However, it is important to note that this tool only translates your search into the proper formatting. For some databases, you will still need to check whether there is an applicable subject heading in that new database. It's also important to note that CINAHL and EBSCO Medline do not have the same title and abstract functionality. That's why Polyglot added duplicates of our keywords, one with the title field code and the other with the abstract field code. You will also notice that there is not a translation for EBSCO Medline, which is the version of Medline that I showed you earlier. Because EBSCO CINAHL has the same interface as EBSCO Medline, you can use the CINAHL translation of that search for EBSCO Medline. Just be sure to review the translation and check for any formatting inconsistencies that you would need to correct. Lastly, if you want to get a basic version of your search strategy, such as the one that you can use for Google Scholar, copy and paste the Web of Science strategy from Polyglot. Let's search CINAHL using our translated search from Polyglot. I will copy and paste my translated strategy, but before I click search, I want to apply the peer review filter. CINAHL includes results that are not peer-reviewed. To only look at those peer-reviewed results, you will need to check that box on the search page. Now I can view all of the peer-reviewed research literature on the results page. Here you can filter for publication year on the left, as well as for publication types. You also can use the subject major heading filter to filter for articles by main topic. You can also do the same thing in EBSCO's version of Medline. From the abstract page, you can see a brief overview of the article. On the right, you have multiple options to save your article. You can email it to yourself, cite it, or export it to a reference manager such as RefWorks. You can also save the permalink to this record, which will never expire. To see if an article is available through Clemson Libraries, click on the Find It box on the left-hand side of the screen. This will search our catalog to see if you can access the full text of an article, or if you will need to request it via ILL. You can then repeat these steps in EBSCO Medline, which looks very similar to CINAHL. For tips and tricks on how to navigate other databases that I haven't shown you, be sure to reach out to a librarian. And that's database searching in a nutshell. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. You can get in touch with the Health Sciences librarian using the contact information found on the Healthcare Genetics Library Guide or the information on this screen. Best of luck on your projects!